Hey guys,
Hey,
welcome back to the His and Hers the Truth podcast. My
yes.
name is Tuan. This is my lovely wife.
Sim, great seeing everyone again, and thank you for your support. I've noticed, right,
Yes,
honey?
we got a
It's
few
going up.
subscribers. Yes, so thank you so
Woo!
much for
Thank you,
all you
thank
who
you.
subscribed.
Yep.
But of course, as always, calling out the shadow watchers out
No more
there,
shadow
right?
watching.
No more shadow watching, guys. If you guys have watched this channel and
Yes.
obviously enjoy our content, of course, and really, guys, support the Asian community
Mm-hmm.
content, especially our Asian brothers out there struggling.
Yep.
Let's push this content out there by
Push them
subscribing.
out.
And of course, guys, give us a huge thumbs up,
Mm-hmm.
right? Turn on the notification bell.
Ding.
And of course, please watch the whole video, but
Mm-hmm.
share and comment at the end.
And the bottom.
Okay, do you guys, we got another really interesting, but I think it's gonna be a very a good topic today in terms of giving us some insight of what's going on with the Asian dating sexual marketplace community concerning the Western culture, right?
Yeah.
But we're gonna be doing a two-part video today, guys, because this video is a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
So this is gonna be part one of it. The
Part one.
title of the video is How Japan's Sexlessness Affects Its Women.
Mm.
It's from a pretty good channel. It's this guy that he goes and interviews Japanese people. They could be prawn stars. They could be, just everyday people's lives. So kind of unique aspects of the Japanese culture.
Yeah.
However, I really think, like I said, this is Tuan, His and Hers the Truth podcast is
Mm-hmm.
perspective. I really think Japan is a very good future insight of how Asians are going to be in this new westernized sexual marketplace
Yeah.
if we don't make changes now.
Now. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's a very good warning. If we look into Japan, I think it's going to be a very telltale sign of what things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so let's begin.
This could significantly affect both men and women, and maybe worsening their mental health a lot, like bringing so much anger, resentment, or feeling of isolation or depression. And when it comes to Japan, it totally makes sense that we got tons of sexual service or businesses, like prostitution or sugar daddy. Because this is totally a norm, those businesses being still demanded and profitable, even when the economy isn't so good. And recently, more and more business targeting female customers, as the demand has been rising more and more. And women consuming those wouldn't be necessarily single, but many are actually married and having kids, and have been sexless and dissatisfied. And quite often, they still don't get divorced, and in that case, there are three choices that those women commonly take in Japan. Number one, cheating on their partners, and continue to do that secretly until they get caught someday. Number two, using prostitution, sugar mommy, or that kind of service, because like I mentioned, those businesses be rising and more available. And number three is this, which you may find unbelievable or crazy, but it's kinda understandable when you think about it, because of these reasons, for example. Anyway, many women getting into porn because of their sexless marriage or satisfying their sexual desire, just like this woman.
I wanted to have sex in
Okay, hey, before we get into the woman, what do you think about that first thing? Because what did I say just earlier, honey?
Yeah.
It's a telltale sign of what is going to happen with the westernized, the Asian Americans in the westernized culture.
Yeah.
But you can kind of see, just kind of in westernization culture in general. What do you think about that first topic, honey? Where he pointed out all those different things.
It's very true. I mean, it's sexless because communication is probably not key in
Well, we'll get
Asian
into the reasons why here in a
Yeah.
bit. But what do you think of just, one, obviously a lot of couples in Japan are in sexless
yeah.
marriages. The men are freaking obviously addicted, not addicted, but they're participating in prawn
Yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying.
obviously sugar daddy, like kind of like, this
or
pretty
going
much
to
like
get
that, like what we do here in America, right? There's a
getting sex
huge,
elsewhere.
yeah, there's a huge prawn,
Yeah.
concern in America,
And
right?
it's just not the husbands that's cheating. He
Well,
also
now
said
it's affecting- now
but
it's affecting the
also
women.
The women. The woman is also cheating unless they
Yes.
get caught, which is sort of like because when you think of Japanese culture, they're sort of very quiet, very reserved, very humble. But then all these things are now popping out. Like people sugarcoat things. It's not perfect.
Well, they're
That
doing
just
it in the
don't-
back.
Yeah,
They're doing it in the
back
back,
burner.
right?
You
And
know what I'm trying to
obviously
say?
it's not being exposed.
Yeah,
but,
but now it
obviously if
is.
you look into it, it's starting to become exposed.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, anything else, honey?
Well, I'm just saying, without communication and all that stuff, this is the future that we're going to see affecting,
Well,
all across.
I think communication is going to be part of the equation. But before we get into the solutions, guys, I just want to say,
Yeah.
what did I tell you guys? If we look at Japan's problem with their marriage and their thing, I'm telling you guys, this is what we're experiencing right now in America, in westernized countries, with not just our Asian brothers and sisters, right?
It's
The
all.
Asian man experiencing these huge problems. But I'm telling you guys, this is happening with everybody, right? He talked about at the end how women are getting into porn now. Prawn, right?
Yes.
What do you think OF is? What do you think OnlyFans is?
Yeah.
How many married people, how many dating couples do you know that are getting into OF now, right? Because of this, right? They're doing it for obviously a more pragmatic reason, right? Over here, we're doing it because obviously we've been more free, right? Sexual freedom has been more glorified over here in the West, but they're doing it because they're not getting it the way they want it. But regardless, guys, the situation is the same. When men and women are put to the test, we go back to our human nature, right? And you're seeing that in all different aspects. And like I said, my wife said, even though Japan is known as a very traditional culture,
Quiet.
humans are humans. And now you guys can see what I'm talking about. This deregulated sexual market, all the matrices are starting to break down, and people are starting to revert back to what they want, our basic human needs.
When you have sexless marriage, you won't have the great outcome for a kid or your kids.
Well, just relationships in general. But anyway, let's go.
STDs are scary. Being attacked is scary. Being like raped is scary. So if I could set the pace or the rules, so I don't want to do these kinds of films, I don't want to have sex with this kind of person, and also make money while doing it, it seemed like the perfect situation for me.
Anyway, when it comes to this trending in Japan, some people...
Okay, that last person who's obviously looks like she looks maybe mixed.
Yeah,
she looks mixed. Yeah, Caucasian. But she was saying about all these stats, guys. That is all cap, right? We know that there's not a rape culture out there, a grape culture. I'm sorry, right? It's all how women feel.
Yeah.
Okay, and we know that the stats don't show that men are way likely to be attacked in a violent situation, right? So, and the grape numbers are not as high as they make it out to be, right? Because, guys, go do your own research, but those studies show that, like, if a woman felt like she was being sexually, harassed, that was considered grape, right? And so the stats are nowhere near that. So I think that woman is just making an excuse to why she's getting into prawn. And let's be honest, it's because of she can make money from it. We're no longer shaming people as much to do it, right? And then, of course, if the men, guys, I put this on both sides, right? If the men aren't stepping up and being the men that these women want and desire, they're going to go look for it elsewhere, right?
Really angry about it. But before we judging those women and just perceive it negatively, let's try to understand and listen to what she has to say and find out what's really going on behind the phenomenon.
最初はちゃんとセックスあるんですよ。でもなんかだんだん回数が減ってきて、もともと1週間1回2回あったものが2週間ぐらいになってきて、だんだんなくなって、もう気づけば何ヶ月、半年とかなくなってきたって感じですね。
それなんか原因とかってわかります？
いやー、原因あんまりわかんないんですよ。別に私がセックスしたくなくなったわけじゃなくて、何なんでしょうかね。冷められてるのかなっていうふうに私は感じました。
それ自分から積極的になるってことはちょっとやりしにくかった。
なんか最初はやっぱそれできないんですよ。なんとなくちょっと恥ずかしいというか、でもある時言ってみたんですよ。セックスしたいんだけどって、ストレートに言ったんですけど、その時に断られちゃって、これが結構傷ついたというか、断り方も、例えば明日仕事が早いからとか、そういう風な断り方だったら納得できるんですけど、そんな感じじゃなくて、したくないっていう言い方されちゃったんですよ。なんかすごくズンと傷ついちゃって、女としてそういう性の対象としてなくなっちゃったのかなっていうのが、相手の言葉足らずなところもあるのかもしれないんですけど、でもそっからはもう怖くて、それを聞くことによってなんか嫌われているのかっていうのを知りたくないというか、セックスに関してはちょっと怖くなっちゃいましたね、聞くのが。私も年齢重ねるじゃないですか。30半ばの方になってくるにつれて、世間から見たらもう言ったらおばさんに入っていくわけじゃないですか。旦那にもそういう扱いされる。でも私の中ではその性的衰えがないというか、そういう愛されたいとかセックスしたいっていう気持ちはあるんですよ。ですごく変に思うかもしれないですけど、 30を超えてからその性欲みたいなのが上がってくるんですね。でも爆発したいけどしようがないというか、その私は気持ちあるけど相手とこう一緒にじゃないから、もうずっとモヤモヤモヤモヤっていう感じです。で相手にぶつけたいけど、まあそれによって相手にこう嫌われるというか、そこから例えば口すら聞かなくなるとかなるのも怖くて、まあ臆病だったんでしょうね、当時の私が。
Okay, so what do you think about that, honey? Well, first off, you're like, guys, that whole thing she went through, the only thing I can think of in my mind is, there's that meme, honey, or that freaking thing where it says, like, there's someone out there that doesn't find this woman attractive anymore, right? Like, it could be like a picture of a supermodel or whatever, right? Or some hot chick, and there's like, some guy got bored of this, right? And guys, it's so true, because this lady is good looking. She's cute, and obviously she turned to prawn, so obviously she has the looks to do prawn, right? But someone obviously didn't feel like having sex with her anymore, right? So what are your thoughts about just what she had to go through, honey?
Well, either, like I said, at the end of the day, it comes down to, it takes two to tangle, right? I don't believe it's just maybe the husband's fault. Maybe she didn't dress up when she was married to him. Maybe she's always tired when he wanted it, and she's always rejecting him. So now he rejects her. He's like, well, I haven't had it for years, so why do I now give in? It takes two.
There's not a lot of context in what, it's just her side.
Yeah, I can't just listen to one side, because you don't know what the other side is, because sometimes I say it takes two to tangle. How about if she's the one that kept saying no to him so many times, and I think he's probably looking elsewhere. I think he's probably like sleeping with someone else now that he's so used to getting something else, like flavor of different beef. Why would he want to come back to you when you've been rejected many times?
Let's say
or if she doesn't fix herself up.
Well, let's give her the benefit of the doubt, because you're exactly right. I was thinking the same thing. But let's just give her the benefit of the doubt. Let's say she was keeping herself fairly good looking, like the way she is now.
Say that too,
and then let's say she's the one, because she said it, right? As she got older, her sex drive actually got higher and higher. And she ultimately was the one that had to come to him and be like, hey, when are we going to have sex, right? So let's just say she did her part. What do you think about that? What's your reaction? What do you think the problem was?
Well, if she did her part and her man is not trying to keep her sex drive up and whatever else, and he's not saying he's exhausted and whatever else, well, that's his problem. And that's his fault. But at the same time, if I was in her shoes, I wouldn't go into Prawn Stars just because my husband's not giving this to me. Whatever else. That is wrong.
Yeah, that's totally two separate. That's two separate things. But
I'm saying it's his fault. I mean, it should be a man that's wanting the drive. It should not be the woman to hit the drive first.
100%.
That's like when you're doing the fast drive of a car. It's usually a man that's driving the car and should be like, hey, I want to do the fast drive, but yeah, at the same time, you're going to be fat. You know what I mean? Like,
the better
protected.
The better analogy would be,
whatever.
the better analogy, we say it all the time, is that the man needs to be the leader, right?
Yeah,
so
to
that
step
means
up.
they need to be the one. So let's hypothetically assume that she did everything, right? She stayed cute. Obviously, she didn't let herself go,
Yeah, that's
right?
what I'm saying.
But maybe, like you say, maybe she didn't drop. But anyways, let's assume that she did all that, right? 100%. And this is the reason why I wanted you to say this,
There's
honey.
a pro and con to everything.
No, I wanted you to point out that the men,
Have to lead.
if everything is going the way that she said was going, where she was doing everything, guys, Asian brothers, we need to be the one that is the alpha, the leader, right? And I think this is the lesson. That's the reason why I wanted to do this video, guys, because I think a lot of westernized Asian men, Asian American men, fall into the same trap as the Japanese old school brother, right? We get complacent, right? We get just normal,
disoriented.
and then you instead of building and continuing to maintain your sex drive, right? You get focused on your job, you get focused on your finances, right? And then you no longer have those qualities and the drive that made you to be the man to begin with, right?
And you let yourself go. And that's another
Correct.
thing. Yeah. So when you let yourself go, think about it. You guys got to come back to when you first met, right? You're happy, you were in shape, you were in love. And for us women, we dress up, we smell good, we want to impress the opposite sex, right? So why can you not keep that up? For a man, same thing. When you were trying to press her, you want to look good, you want to smell good, you did your hygiene, you comb your hair, you did all. Why let yourself go? See, that's what I don't understand. When you become a couple, you just let yourself go. Like, okay, I locked you down now. I don't have to give a shit about you anymore. No, you
Well,
cannot do that.
I
You
think
don't do that. You
I
got to keep it
yeah,
up.
but no,
You got to
but
keep it up.
I think that is the general consensus, and this is the reason why, like I said, I wanted us to discuss this, honey, because
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, my Asian brother, there's a reason why we're the least desired ethnicity on dating apps. My point, and to my wife's obviously credit, my point is I don't think that Asian men even start out that way. That's why I'm trying to get my Asian brothers to realize, like, we need to start off at a higher point to begin with,
Yep.
right? The Japanese men are experiencing they're lucky, I'll be honest with you, but I think the Japanese men are experiencing what long term our Asian brothers are going to experience here in America, or what you've already started seeing happening,
Yeah.
right? Is because we have been so beta for so long,
Yeah.
right? And now our Asian women don't find us attractive in American society more. Like I was telling you guys, our cultural matrices, our structure has been broken down. So now Asians in the Western countries are like, well, I'm an Asian woman. I can go date a white guy. I can go date a black guy. I can go date outside of my race.
Yeah, you have
Right? And so Japanese women,
are doing similar things.
they're not dating outside the race, but they're
they are.
starting to. They are, but my point is, even the men that they're married to who are Japanese, the point is they're starting to realize, look, they're beta as F, right? And so if they're beta as F and they don't want to give it to me, I'm going to go find it somewhere else. And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Now that those structures are completely broken down in not only the Western society, but in Asian traditional society, you're going to see this stuff start happening. You're going to start seeing, guys, I predict
Honey,
2024,
it's already happening.
but I predict even more, right? Because I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if we're talking China, it don't matter if we're talking Japan, it doesn't matter if we're talking Thailand, freaking Korea, whatever.
Everywhere.
I bet you in 2024 and moving forward, I guarantee there's going to be a lot more OF models. There's going to be a lot of waifu or whatever they're into over there, doing those freaking,
Crazy stuff.
niche stuff, the tying up crap.
Yep.
I guarantee you a lot of women over there that we would have considered, right? Passport bros would have considered wifey material. They're going to start doing all those things, guys. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's because of this breakdown of society. Okay?
Yeah.
最近のび太さん、私めっちゃ気になってるのが、ママはね、結構ね、私セックスあっていいと思ってるんですって言うんですよ。なのに、パパがね、男性ができひん、もう無理、そういうのはいいですって言って、ママがなんとなくこう仕向けていっても、パパが断るっていうパターンがめっちゃ増えてるんですよ。ここ5年、6年ぐらいかな。だからなんか今までのセックスレスってどっちかというと女性がこういう感じで、男性は行きたいっていうのが多かったんだけど、逆のパターンがものすごく増えてるんですね、今。
妻側は、私はセックスはもうあって当然だと思ってる。子供も欲しいしって言っても、旦那さんの方はもう無理って言って逃げちゃうとか、そういう状況がもう結構見受けられますよね。
女性からしたらもう自分を否定されてるみたいに思うんですよね。女として見られてないんや私って魅力ないんだってすごくこう女性としての尊厳が傷つけられるわけですよ。それでこう泣きながらバブバブにみんなね駆け込んでくるんですね。
もう私の人生の現役時代を降りたみたいな感覚になって、旦那にもこう女性として価値がないと思われてるし、もうマイナス200なのにみたいな、ちょっと今喋って泣きそうになってそう。それは結構辛い気持ち。辛かったですね。
本当ファーストアプローチは会話しかないんですよ。だって分からないですから。でも言いにくいからそこって言わないじゃないですか。だってもう8年以上セックスレスで閉経迎えて更年期障害迎えておばあちゃんになってしまうの寂しいから、まあ40代でもう一度は旦那さんと営みたいと思っていても、もう8年以上セックスレスだと今更みたいなことを言われてしまいそうで言えません。
なので初めてセルフプレジャーを楽しんでい
Okay,
た
what
だ
do
く
you
よう
think
な女
about
性
that
でも
last section, honey? Because they talked about how in Japan it's predominantly the opposite now, right? Here in the Western society, we talk about all the time, right? Men want to have sex, but their wives or their girlfriends, whoever, turns them down, right? In Japan, it's been the opposite. What do you think about that?
Yeah. is sad, sort of. It's sort of sad that it's the, the reverse of things right now, because, communication, like I said, it's not there, and they're, like Japanese have known to be reserved, women's being to be reserved, right? And they don't speak up, whatever else.
Well, they're speaking now.
Yeah, but now they're speaking, but it's a little sort of late. And in Japan, because you've seen it, they exploit so much sexual stuff. So the men is sort of like, you know what I mean? Like, if I can get the sexual access out there, they sort of like advertise it all over the streets. Like, if you look in Japan right now, you know what I mean? Like, literally it's advertised every damn corner. Even though they're so reserved in their traditional ways, but they're also exposed to so many things out there too. So why do you think now these husbands are like, well, this is no fun with my wife because she won't do this and this and this?
I think, but we're missing one key part here.
And that's the sad part.
We're missing one key part here, and I want to tie it in with what our content is, honey, because we talk about our Asian brothers and the culture, but related to the truth. But this year, mostly about Asian culture, right? And guys, I wanted to point this out because I think this is an Asian cultural problem. And it doesn't have to be Japanese. You don't have to be Japanese to understand this or live through this. The problem with our Asian culture is because we have always taught both sexes, right, to be very reserved when it comes to sex. The other thing that's really hurting, and this is where my big point is going to be, so pay attention, is that we really teach our culture, the men and the women, to not really have good communicative, like my wife was saying, relationships, right? There's very strict roles. You're the husband, you're the wife, you're the mom, you're the dad, right? And I'm not saying, guys, trust me, I am RP all the way. I'm a man's man, alpha man, high value man, whatever you want me to call me, whatever, right? I believe a man's a leader. I should want sex if I want sex, right? Like, I was watching that last clip, and the dude was just sitting there and talking about how his wife wanted to have sex, and he's like, yeah, dude, I want to slap his ass, right? Punch his ass because he's such a freaking beta. But anyways, I'm not trying to change that context. What I'm trying to say is that you got to have at least a sort of relationship with your wife, right? Be able to talk to her about these things and be able to freaking want, because you know what it is? It's not the sex.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you guys that this is going to affect our westernized Asian brothers because it's not the sex. What men are truly lacking, and this is funny because this is in a Japanese culture where you think women are feminine, right? That's the whole thing about Asian women, right? Like, passport girls going to Asia is because you find feminine women there. But the problem is they never really were taught, at least in Japan, right, to actually form like connected relationships, right? And so what these men are lacking is not only the sex, but they're lacking that validation. And I hate to say it, guys, like, call it cope, and because these men are weak. Trust me, if this is another learning lesson, Asian brothers, you need to get stronger. You need to build your values high so you're not so beta, right? But the point is, these men are seeking a relationship.
Yeah. Of being noticed, of
right?
being wanted.
That's the reason why the waifu, think about it, it's called waifu for a reason.
To be respected, to be like, hey.
To get that validation, like, I am the man, I am the king, right? It's not just the sex.
Well, I've noticed, like, they work so hard at the place, right? But what do they do after work? They go at least, I would say 80% of the time, go to the bar. Not going straight home most of the time, because I understand work could be stressful.
Because you're an alcoholic, because you're coping.
Yeah. But why? Get your validation at home. Why don't you work together? Why don't you work together? Communicate. Go do things together with your wife instead of like, hey, I'm done with work. I'm stressful. I'm going to go do my thing. You go do your thing. And then later, that's why you're sexless marriage. That's why you're in a sexless marriage. You're not spending time with each other. You're not communicating. You're not telling each other, hey, you know what, honey? You did all this work. I'm so proud of you. You got to recognize that they're the man of the house, and she's got to recognize
this is an Asian cultural thing. We need to flip this as Asian culture. Guys, the reason why is because they go drinking after work is because they're just a cog in the machine. They go work at some factory, right? They're told that it's due for duty.
Or business job.
Right? Whatever your job is. Trust me, they're just meant to like, hey, you're supposed to be. So in essence, you're like a piece of the matrix.
Yeah.
These Asian brothers are like pawns in the matrix.
Cut it
And
out.
and so
Cut
why do you
it
think they go
out.
home?
Cut out.
They go to the drink because
Yeah.
they freaking need to phase it all out with alcohol.
Yeah.
And then when they go home, there's no emotions, there's no
That's what I'm saying.
feelings, right?
They're tired out.
If
whatever
we
else.
don't want to get to be the same situation, we need to change this
Change.
mindset.
Change
抵
it.
抗感なく、
Okay.
恐怖心とかを抱かなく、使っていただけるような製品を作っていきたいなと思ってまして、自身の年齢的にも自分から積極的にセックスしたいとか、こういうふうに思ってるっていうことを話すのは、やっぱ女性としてちょっとはしたないんじゃないかとか、この旦那さんにどう思われるかすごい不安だって思いからずっと言えなかったと。悩みは結構人それぞれなんですけれども、抱えていらっしゃる方は多いかなっていうふうに思います。
やっぱり体型の変化とかビジュアルの変化とか、あとやっぱりすごく精神的にマウントされちゃった言葉の暴力が結構原因で、ちょっとやっぱり恐怖心妻に対して恐怖心とかが強くなったらあまり自分からいけなくなっちゃったっていうケースが多い。
ED ですね。エレクタイルディスファンクションそれによったセックスレスも非常に多いので言えないみたいな
セックスの問題って関係性の話っていうか結構コミュニケーションの問題だなっていうのはすごく、男性だったら実はそんなに立たないんだよねとか、実はそんなに性欲がないからそんなに頻度やりたくないんだよねっていうのも、なんとなく男性はそんなに性欲少ないんだよねみたいな言うのもちょっと恥ずかしいというか。
それはありますが、実際日本のセックスレス夫婦で男性方に聞きますと、妻にエロスを感じない、セクシーさを全く感じないっていう男性が非常に多い。
もうかれこれ7年ぐらいセックスレスな状態ですかね。単純に妻をあまり魅力的に見れなくなったというか、おばさんみたいにしか見れなくなったっていうのが。
ファン層は結構上の世代ですか？ 40 代、50代。
それが20代。
Okay, so now that was the last part. We're gonna react to this video, guys. We're gonna, do part two. But what do you think about the last thing where they talked about why men refuse sex from their wives, right? And they had a bunch of reasons. I think they were all good reasons, but it points to one thing, and I wanted to discuss it. But right, they talked about how the woman is no longer sexy to them now because now they're middle aged, they're older, maybe they're not in shape anymore. 2, the men have erectile dysfunction, low testosterone, guys. Does that sound familiar? Low testosterone, right? Communication.
Yep.
And then
erectile, whatever dysfunction, I think.
well, just losing the sex
sex
urge
drive,
and just the sex drive, and then just
Can't erect.
Okay, so what do you think about those things, honey?
It's true. It's all true. Because think about it. When you don't find your women, say your wife, are attractive anymore or whatever else, you can't erect. You don't feel it anymore, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have communication, which most of them don't have, right? That caused another issue because she's not really asking about his day. And he's not really asking how her day went, you know, and you guys aren't respecting each other or whatever else, and you're not really respecting your husband. All you're respecting is the paycheck. Well, how does he find you attractive? All he cares about a dang paycheck. You should say, "Hey, honey, how's your day? Why don't you set the mood?" You know, like
No, yes, I get
Don't
all that.
hound him.
I get that, but guys,
he's got to try. He should set the mood.
Asian men, we live in a weird, I guess, our own weird little space, and I'm gonna say something
Call
right
it
now
out.
because we need to call it out, guys, because I know how you guys love watching channels like ours, right? And every time we make a title where we rip Asian women, right, the loos or the fact that they're freaking, bananas or whatever, we make fun of Asian women or point out their flaws. You guys love those comments. You guys love those videos, right? You guys love that content, right? But I got to tell you guys, the problem slowly lies with us. Like, we are very similar to black women, all right? I hate to say it, but there's a reason why we're the least desired ethnicity on dating apps, right?
Yep.
And it's the reason why we're not getting the results that we want. And now our women who have been in this structure for the longest time are starting to really see our bullshit, for lack of better words. Okay? We have become so weak as Asian men, right? And focus so solely on finances that we are no longer qualified to have Asian women, let alone any women. Guys, Asian women are the most desired ethnicity on dating apps. And we had them at one point.
Yep.
They belonged to us at one point. We took it for granted. I don't know what the damn excuses are. Maybe the World War II, we got freaking, Japanese got bombed on, so now they got emasculated. Who knows? We lost all the wars. The point is, we had that power, we had that opportunity, and we gave it all away, right? And so I put this solely on my Asian brothers. Guys, if we want to change this, we need to change this with ourselves. I told you guys already, we got to get bigger. We got to get stronger. We got to get our mindset that we're the outgoing alpha. Talk to your damn wife. Say that you want to have sex with her. Lead your family, right? Lead your outcomes. Change your positive outcomes to the outcomes that you wanted. Because all those things point to us as men, right? Erectile dysfunction, freaking, no
Less
freaking drive, right? Only working on the job all day long and barely seeing their wife, okay?
Don't say we don't thank you for working, okay? Yes, we need to, pay this, pay that. But you know what? You guys got to pay attention to your spouse. Because you know why? If you don't pay attention to your spouse, how you're treating her, how do you think your kids are paying attention to you as a lead? They're not showing that. How are they going to respect you? And then if you had a son, then he's going to do the same shit.
Well,
why would you want him to carry that same legacy of doing the same stupid crap? Then he's not going to be respected by his wife, and they're not going to have communication. There's going to be issues there. Would you want to continue that?
Well, that's been going on for a long time.
That's like, we're trying to say, don't continue that cycle. Let's try to break it.
A cycle that has been plaguing the Asian men culture for a long time, right? This passing down of that fault to our sons and everyone else. So, guys,
daughters.
I want to tell you guys, like the reason, right, why this thing is going on for the long time is because Asian men has lost sight of the truth.
Yeah,
that's the reason why I've been trying to push this channel out. I've been trying to push this content out. You guys have lost sight of why you're doing this to begin with. You've been told so much that it's duty, right? Our forefathers have told us so much. This is just duty. This is this. You got to do it for this reason. You have lost sight of why.
Yeah.
And the why is always the most important reason, right? The why is the reason why we do these things. It is supposed to be so that way you can pass your DNA down to the freaking next generation. Have kids.
And think about it. When you don't have sexless marriage, say you're a newlywed, what do you think that's going to be an outcome? You're not going to have that truth. You're just going to go to work, sexless marriage, then you're divorced.
You don't even have to point it out, honey.
Stupid.
Japan has the lowest birth rates.
Well, I'm just saying that's where it's falling through. And this is going to be the outcome everywhere. It's not just Japan, but it's going to be everywhere.
Like
and
I said, Japan,
we're already calling that out.
Japan,
we here on the Truth, His and Hers, the Truth podcast is going to call it out. Sexless marriage, no communication will lead to no truth, which is your lineage, your DNA to pass down. And we're going to have later on less people. Less this, less
100%.
Asian, less that.
It's
less
already
this,
happening
less black,
already.
less Hispanic, whatever it is, because you lack that. And you got to change it now. My Asian sisters and brothers, you got to change that now if you want to see more Asians continue down the line. Because if not, we're going to be that, what do you call it, that sort of extinct species.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
We will be that. We will be that extinct. And if you don't mark our words right now, 5 years, 2 years, 2 to 3 years down the line, you will see what we're saying is the truth in our His and Hers, the Truth podcast. And I don't want to rant it, but open your eyes, wake up. And if you don't want to wake up, well, that's going to be your sort of own
well,
future.
Like I said, I'm looking forward to react to part 2, guys. That was part 1. That was a lot. So I'm looking forward to part 2, guys. We'll check in next time, right? Look out for part 2 coming up here shortly.
Yep.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Join us as we give you guys a glimpse into our lives, give you guys advice, hopefully give you guys entertainment value as well too, and provide you guys better outcomes.
Yes.